rank the albums that the Vines put out.
These Vines were hailed as a key figure in the garage rock revival, or whatever you want to call it, and though a hype train is never really a good idea, the debut album justifies it. Maybe they only have two approaches to writing songs. There's the hard-driving punk one and the gentle ballad one, but on this album they've approached that in an eclectic variety of ways, and there's a fresh youth to the songwriting. I think this album's probably an audible influence on my own work, with its punk directness to punk songs and its punk directness to non-punk songs. A specific strength to the Vines, who've only had one consistent member, is the way Craig combines his loyalty to songwriting. He's clearly a big fan of the Beatles, he wants to write things at that standard, with the wildness of punk rock. It's very obvious to cite Nirvana as an influence, but really he's doing the same thing as Kurt Cobain, with the same respect to his influences. He's just got one more decade of influence thrown in there. The Nirvana bit just means that he's really good at riffs, though maybe that comes across a bit closer to Hole. This is the future grunge wanted. I'm trying not to have all the obvious takes that all the existing reviews have, but I agree that Winning Days is kind of like a B-side disc to that first one, but that's still a good thing. There's some even better riffs, an even better ballad, but it's just not as consistent. It doesn't quite stack up to the debut, but you won't be disappointed because you're not in 2004. And the album covers don't get any better from here on. Vision Valley lacks the glossy producer of the first two and thereby has a darker sound. I think this does them no favours, and as the songwriting gets so short, these scratchy offerings don't really match up. There's still good riffs on here, there's still good songs on here, they're just sparser and not presented as well. Down we go, and then Melodia retains that absolutely minimal approach to song structure, but it brings back Rob Schnapf, and maybe his Laminator does half of the work, or maybe the songwriting is back on a more consistent form. Still some delicious riffs, and it makes for their most urgent album. When I filmed this, I wasn't sure if this was going above or below Winning Days. It's close. I should have filmed both because I've since decided Melodia is better. It's more distinct and consistent, with nothing to skip. Now, if this were 13 years ago, I could wrap it up there and present ranking the 4 albums of a no-nonsense band with a very excited energy. But no, the world's still going, and Craig Nicholls is still going. I've not bought the CDs for these more recent ones, so let's have a look in another format. I streamed these at least once when they were released, and I've given them another try now. By Future Primitive, the charm of the Vines' conciseness has worn off, because really they're just half-written songs. And we're back to that dingy production. The odd times they might be onto something, that's when it immediately retreats. I don't even have a reason to say the word riffs on this one, it's just creatively immobile. Wicked Nature is apparently a double album despite that it could fit on one disc, and then maybe a relentless 54-minute mountain of the same thing they always do might have some unique point. Instead it's just 2 more Vines albums and the second disc is trash. First one's good, they're riffing again, this is apt Vine work, but a faulty overall product, and there's just no new points. This one's a bit more musical, he's doing different things with his guitar, but not good things. The real surprise is its punklessness, all in this mid-tempo mire without vigor, without mega drive. It can go here for not failing at what it tries. The Vines have a troubled career and a pretty obvious downward trend, but definitely that first album still sounds amazing, and you might still want to hear a few more iterations of that.